Hey everybody, I hope this is working. This is my third attempt at this, and I don't think I'm getting any better, honestly. I think I'm being downgraded in my technology advancement. So sorry about that. I am broadcasting from my truck, actually. Hopefully, again, this is going out there and that the audio is better than it was last week. I did a horrible job with that. And there was a little bit of an echo. I think I might have figured out why, but not exactly sure. Maybe it's echoing again. I can't tell because I can't hear what I'm saying. But hopefully you're out there, the few that were watching from last week. Thank you. But I'm in my truck. I just left the Daytona 500, actually, and I was wondering what I should talk about this week. And, last week was Super Bowl weekend, and I barely was able to get online. And then, of course, the Daytona 500 just ended. And congratulations to Tyler Reddick for coming through, from the back and taking the lead. And he didn't win any races at all last year. And here he wins the biggest race of the year, coming out of the gate. So congratulations to him and his team. But I thought maybe this week I'd talk about NASCAR. I mean, it seemed appropriate. NASCAR has been a huge supporter in our mission. They've supported us tremendously in so many ways, and I thought maybe I would just give a little bit of the history of that and what little time we have together, and explain how NASCAR came on board and where NASCAR is today. Unfortunately, I can't show you any pictures. I took a lot on my phone camera, but I haven't figured out a way to share them. So we'll share them on our Facebook page. And if I can figure out how to insert them, I will definitely insert them. But Daytona 500, it was crazy, absolutely nuts. There were so many people there. It was wall-to-wall people. It took me over an hour today just to get in. I missed chapel. And, yeah, it was horrible. I don't like traffic. Got in there late. We had an issue with a family coming in today. We host Gold Star families throughout the year at NASCAR events, and family today had an accident, and we're hoping that everybody will be okay, but they weren't able to make it. And so that put us behind getting into the track and then, all of that. But what do you care, right? Really doesn't make any difference to you guys out there watching. But just to let you know that NASCAR began for us, back in 2010. Back in 2010, Rick Delaney, one of our supporters and head of the one of the veterans organizations, he wrote to me and said, "Hey, NASCAR would be a great partner for you." And I thought, okay, well, I don't know anything about NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan. I don't know anything about drivers. I mean, I'd heard about Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. I mean, those are just common names that most of us, in my generation had heard about. And so I never really watched the races. And I didn't really know much about it. And I was really slammed at that time. I had just come from a drive across the entire United States. I visited all 50 states in 2010. And I was coming off of that. And I really didn't have the bandwidth to reach out to what could be a dead end, for all I know. So I asked Rick to write the letter. I said, "Hey, Rick, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't you write it?" And he did. So he wrote a letter to NASCAR, specifically to Mike Helton. I think Mike was the president at that time. And just told him about our mission, what we were doing, how important it was, how NASCAR was a patriotic community, had one of the most patriotic fans in America, bases, and they should look into what we're doing. And he sent me a copy of the letter, and I said, "Okay, thanks. That's great, Rick." And before long, we got a letter back. And the letter basically was from Jordan Gelati, who was the head of public affairs at that time, and Marcus Jadot. Both of them were in the public affairs division. And I got a call, and they said, "Hey, we're interested in what you do. Why don't you come and chat with us? Let's meet. We'll show you what we do, and we'll come up with a plan." So that's what I did. I went down to the championship race in 2011 in Homestead, Miami. I met with Jordan. I met with Marcus. I met with Mike. That time, Michelle Obama was down there, for the race, and Joe Biden. So I got to meet, both of them for during a joining forces meet and greet that they had going on at the track. And I just got myself familiar with what racing was all about. And it was interesting. It was exciting. And so at the end of the conversation, Jordan and I decided that one of the best ways of introducing ourselves into the community was to bring Gold Star families to the track. And so we started to do that. We began to bring families to the track. At that point, almost every weekend. There are 36 races in a season, and that was a lot of races. And we were trying to bring as many families as we could. So trying to organize all of the family, the number of families, and the number of guests with the families, and it was just a zoo. It was more than herding cats. If you were a part of that initially, God bless you for being our guinea pigs. But that certainly evolved. And as we were going and to tracks and meeting with families and having these conversations with NASCAR, we would go to all the tracks that you probably heard of: Atlanta, Richmond, Phoenix, Talladega, Charlotte. And I remember going to our first Charlotte race. It was Memorial Weekend, actually. And it was probably Memorial Weekend of 2012. And we walked into the track, in the infield where all the haulers are. Those are the tractor trailers that bring in the cars and the equipment and whatnot. And it was Memorial Weekend, as I said, and there were American flags flying on the tops of all the haulers. Now there are about 80 haulers, because each team at that time, I believe, was Xfinity, or might have been a different series at that time. The series have changed, but it's always a Saturday race and a Sunday race. There's always a Cup Series on Sunday, and it's been the Xfinity Series on Saturday. And there were American flags on all the haulers. And I'm thinking, wow, this is great. American flags, Memorial Weekend, what a great tribute. So I'm just walking around, just exploring, absorbing everything that's happening for that weekend, because we've got families there, of course, and we're just trying to figure out the lay of the land. It's a huge track at Charlotte. There's a lot to navigate. There's a heck of a lot of land there, with parking and outbuildings and whatever. And so during the weekend, I'm noticing that there's a lot of active duty there. There's a lot of tickets being given to the Army and the Navy. They've gone to bases around the area, and they've got displays and demonstrations, with active duty. A lot of wonderful. They've got Medal of Honor recipients there. I mean, they've rolled out the red carpet. But what I noticed was they weren't doing anything for Gold Star families. There wasn't any mention of the fallen. There wasn't any mention of loss or sacrifice. There weren't any Gold Star families there except the ones we brought. And I was a little taken aback by that, because it is Memorial Weekend, right? But I just kind of laid low for a little bit. And the next year, because I thought, hey, this is my first time. I'm not going to make any waves. I'm certainly not going to jeopardize my relationship with NASCAR. This was just beginning. And so I just listened and observed. And so the next year, same thing happened. And I'm being my introverted self, and not wanting to rock any boats. I just started to ask questions. Hey, it's Memorial Day, and we should probably be doing something for the fallen and recognizing that sacrifice. That's what the weekend's for. Of course, a lot of people think that Memorial Day is some kind of combined holiday. And I think I told you last episode that between 50 and 80% of Americans don't even know what Memorial Day is. So I'm sure a lot of people were oblivious, but not necessarily at Charlotte. Like I said, they're probably most patriotic fans in the world. I would say they're in the higher percentage of understanding what Memorial Day was about. And so I just posed the question. And as part of that, I said, because we represent the Honor and Remember flag, and that flag represents our fallen, and Memorial Day is a great day to see that flag. I certainly was asking, can we put the flag up around the track someplace? There's a lot of flag poles. Certainly we could get some real estate. And there wasn't any confirmed yes, or no. No direct answer. But, we'll look at it. And then I got a little bit bolder and I said, listen, you got all the American flags up there on the haulers. I said, if I were to provide you Honor and Remember flags, would you put the Honor and Remember flags up? And put them up on all the haulers. Just put them under the American flag. And again, I got that kind of, okay, well, we'll think about it. And I can't remember, it was the next year or 2 years later, but I want to say it was 3 to 4 years. We're talking about starting in 2012 now, remember, that we got permission to gift Honor and Remember flags to the teams so they could put them up on the haulers. And at that time, we personalized them. So we had 50 flags, and each one of the flags said the name of a state, like Ohio Military Fallen Heroes, or Florida Military Fallen Heroes, or North Carolina Military Fallen Heroes. And so we gave that to the haulers. They put them up, and when we showed up that year and walked in there was a sea of Honor and Remember flags. Oh my gosh, it brought tears to my eyes. It was one of the most beautiful things. And I thought, we've got ourselves a foothold. Now we'll ask some more questions, and we'll see, where else we can go in bringing more attention to our fallen. And so we started to bring more families, and after a couple of years, there was a luncheon that came about. I'm not going to go in any particular order now because I just don't have that recollection. I did write a lot of this in the book, Tragedy to Tribute. I am going to read a little bit of a passage from the NASCAR time period. But things started to evolve. Before long, there were more flags up on other flagpoles around the area. At one point, we got Goodyear to put a patch on the side of their hats, their ball caps, that they gave out to their staff. And one of the early things that I noticed was that Goodyear, let me segue into Goodyear, is that Goodyear had support our troops on the tires, on the sidewalls during Memorial Day. And I thought, well, that's wonderful. Obviously, support our troops. But again, my message was about the fallen and about recognizing the fallen. And so I went to Goodyear and I said, hey, this is nice, but would you consider putting Honor and Remember on the side of the tires? Now, that was a big ask, right? There's over 5,000 tires that are out there on a race weekend, Memorial Weekend. And so to ask someone to give up their real estate, now they had support our troops, which was just a generic phrase, but they also had their brand on there, the name of their brand, Goodyear Eagle. And so that started a conversation. We would bring families to the Goodyear compound area, and we would introduce Gold Star families. Sometimes we would present flags in the compound area with the Goodyear team. And so we got to know the Goodyear team. They got to know us. They got to be comfortable with us. We validated ourselves with them. And it was a growing relationship. But I kept asking every year, and nothing happened. And it was about 3 years, at least 3 years, before Goodyear came to me and said, "We're going to put Honor and Remember on the side of the tires." Another one of those brought to tears moment. I mean, you can't imagine, guys out there, that the things that we are bringing attention to, the idea of what Memorial Day is about, but not only just the idea of what it's about, but then the activation of an industry that is starting to understand the importance of sending a message. And really, that's what it's all about, sending a message. That's what the Honor and Remember flag is all about. I explained to you that it's a way that we, as American citizens, can send a message to the Gold Star families that they haven't been forgotten, right? And any way we can do that is a good idea. But the Honor and Remember flag was created to be that messenger. So if we can get industry to embrace that, then everybody wins. They get to send the message because it's the right thing to do. The families get to receive the message because it brings them some comfort. And so I'm trying to remember what year it was. Again, I don't, forgive me. Read the book, Tragedy of Truth. I'm sure I have the dates in there. But this is an accumulation of time that began to happen. And before long, NASCAR came to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about the idea of us putting the names of a fallen hero on the windshield of a car?" And this was me. I was so blessed by that because I realized that what was happening was that they were beginning to come up with their own creative ideas of how to make Memorial Day special. Right? There's only 40 cars, and you could only get 40 names on a car, but the statement is huge. It's immeasurable, right? And then Greg Walter, the president of Charlotte Motor Speedway, came to me one day. Actually, it was at the Daytona 500, and he said, "I've got an idea." And it's his weekend. Charlotte Motor Speedway is his venue, and certainly Marcus Smith and all of that group. And he came to me with an idea. He said, "How big a flag do you have?" I said, "Well, how big a flag do you need or do you want?" He goes, "I have an idea." At that time, I had it about an 1,100 square foot flag. And he said, "What I'd like to do is I'm going to propose it to NASCAR and to our media partners at Fox." He said, "What I would like to do is I would like to stop the race in the middle. This is a 600-mile race." He said, "I would like to stop the race in the middle, turn the cars off, and bring out a large Honor and Remember flag, the biggest one we've got, and have a 30-second moment of silence." Now, that didn't bring tears to my eyes, nothing, whatever, because I was completely blown away. It was, there's no way. You're not kidding me, right? And it was at that moment that I realized they get it. They literally get it. And they want to do everything in their power to make sure that that message is sent to these families. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we brought out that little 1,100 square foot flag that first year. And I will tell you, it looked like a tiny postage stamp. It was so small in relationship to the field of which it came out of. That, and I hope you guys are hearing this okay, because, oh, there's an echo. Okay. I don't know what to do about it. Let me see. All right. Let me know, Emma, if that echo continues. Doing the best I can. Hopefully it's not too distracting. So we had a 1,100 square foot flag out on the field that looked like this little tiny postage stamp. And I thought to myself, that's never happening again. I'm not going to let that happen. And so what did I do? I went out and commissioned a flag 100 feet by 65 feet, 6,500 square foot flag. And the next time they did that, we were going to make a statement. And so that's what happened. We continued to raise the bar. Fox Media, Fox Sports put lapel pins on all their broadcasters, and thank you, Em. So we started to make a splash. Toyota put the Honor and Remember flag on all the vehicles, and Memorial Day actually grew into something more significant for our Gold Star families. And now, millions of people, this has become a tradition at Charlotte, and what we heard from some of the partners there and the sponsors was that this was one of the greatest moments in sports history. So very, very significant moment. Very excited about that. So I'm already running out of time. I can't believe it. I wanted to read something, but I wanted to give a shout out to Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell, amazing man, great Christian man, great father, great racer. And Michael just about won the Daytona 500 today. He was like 2 laps away from winning. He had won it already before. It would have been his second time. He should have won it. Just a shout out to Michael. He has done some events with us, with Gold Star families, done some meet and greets, and we just really appreciate him and all he's done. But the one significant thing that I wanted to say is that we became an official impact partner of NASCAR, one of really only 2 organizations. I'm probably not going to get to read the book today. Tragedy to Tribute. Page 213, it talks a little bit about our relationship, the Goodyear tires, but the whole chapter on corporate involvement. Let me see. Corporate impact. All tells about the relationship of NASCAR and all of what's happening there. And how much we appreciate that relationship. We hope to get to every sports industry. We have others that we're talking with, because really this needs to be. This is not just about one sport. This is about America appreciating, right? And one of the things they did before I close, I'm already at 26 minutes, I think, is that. For the first time, okay, we've got the moment of silence. We've got the tires. We've got the lapel pins. We have a lot going on. But today, starting in 2026, NASCAR made another bold statement. And not for me or for the organization, but for what the flag stands for what Honor and Remember means, and the message that it sends to the families. And I hope you guys see this and recognize it. But for the starting at the 500 race today and throughout the season, and hopefully into the future, NASCAR put Honor and Remember flag patches on all their official uniforms. All the officials who are out there doing the day-to-day, the weekend stuff, right? Inspecting the cars, making sure that the race goes well, keeping everybody safe, all of that. They're all going to be wearing Honor and Remember flag patches. And why are they wearing it? Because NASCAR gets it. Because NASCAR understands that they're not representing a brand. they are sending a message that America, in its 250th year, this being the birthday of our country, not only remembers the celebration of getting to 250 years, but also remembers that it took 250 years of sacrifice to get here. 250 years of sacrifice to give us 250 years of freedom. Everybody needs to understand that. And if you haven't done this already, I invite you to go to declarationofremembrance.com, sign the declaration, pass it on, please. I am trying to, in this 250th year, I am trying to get legislation passed to make, honor, and remember our nationally recognized symbol of remembrance for all of our nation's military fallen, every generation, whether they died while serving or as a result of serving. And I would ask everybody out there, write a letter to your congressman, write a letter to the president, write a letter to the Judiciary Committee, make some noise. If you really think this is important, this is the year to do it. Nobody's going to care about 251. Nobody cared about 249. Please, please, please help us honor these Gold Star families in a way that has never been done before, in a method that is never been brought forward. You know, a national symbol of remembrance. These families deserve it. They need it. Recognition is all they really ask for. And with your help, we can make this happen. I would like to see a signing on Memorial Day of 2026. That's the goal. Memorial Day 2026. God bless you guys. I think my time is up. I promise you a half an hour. Maybe it's a little bit less. But if I can get some pictures in there, I'll get some pictures in. But hey, maybe I'll get someone alongside me that is really technically oriented. All right, God bless you guys. I love you for being out there. Please jump on and let's ride this to Washington together.